Usually they say no, yeah, but I know they're lying. I know they're lying because I'm like, I know it tastes the same. But yeah.
That they treat you mean to keep you on your toes, right?
100%.
They don't want you to slack.
100%. Younger siblings are evil, man. They pick on me. They pick on me. The whole world thinks I'm cool except my family.
Always the way.
That's the case.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of What My Best Friend Does, where we talk about what your best friends do so you don't have to. Today, I'm joined by my best friend, the content creator, Zainab. Zainab, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Bio.
It's
Bestie.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. We do like to start with a little icebreaker.
Okay.
What did you want to be growing up?
One thing about me, Bio, is that I will be going off on tangents. And I think that's
fine.
a really difficult question for me because I feel like I've never really had like a set plan.
Okay.
And I feel like what I wanted to do has kind of changed through the ages. So I feel like when I was really young, I wanted to be a doctor. I feel like a lot of people go through that, right? Like everyone wants to be a doctor.
I mean, my
all
parents
the Asian
went through
people
that.
wanted to be doctors.
Yeah.
We all want to be doctors. So that was it. And then I think the next thing I wanted to be was an architect. But I had a cousin who used to have this like program on his computer, which was like he used to design floor plans.
Yeah.
This is like dial-up days, so you can't always go on the internet. So I would just play on that program for like hours making floor plans. They weren't very good, but I was like, yeah, architect.
This is a bit of you.
This is definitely me. And then as I got older, become an adult, you're like, okay, I actually need to pick a career. I was going to be an actuary, which is I studied a bit at university, and then I realized I really wasn't cut out for it.
Okay.
And yeah, now here we are.
Here we are. So,
Yeah.
an evolving dream is what we'll say.
Yeah, 100%. Go with the flow, guys. Don't. Life isn't set in stone, you know.
Yeah. So you've kind of touched upon it there that you went to uni and you were going to become an actuary, but here you are as a content creator.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose. Can you expand on like your background and kind of your journey up until this point?
Or as a content creator?
Just everything.
Or as me,
like
Zainab, as a person.
Zainab as a person. So you've obviously gone to uni, what you've studied, the jobs you've done, and then how you've ended up becoming a content creator.
So yeah, I studied maths at uni, and it wasn't because I was like really, really passionate about it. It was more like I just picked what I was good at, and I was like, this is a good, solid subject to study, and I can basically do whatever I want after this. But what I really struggled with at uni was that. And I think you study something similar. I studied economics, from what I remember. Yeah. And it's like everyone's applying for grad.
Study strong, but I did economics.
You did economics. But it's like everyone's applying for like grad scheme. And I felt like everyone had a really strong idea that they wanted to go into professional services. But I didn't want that, but I didn't know what I wanted to do instead. So I kind of just left it a bit late. And then it came to like actually being like, oh, I need a job. I just applied for like loads of kind of analyst positions, and I almost kind of fell into it. But now looking back at it, it worked out perfectly because I worked as a data analyst, but I worked in advertising.
Okay.
And then so I was at this company called Northern Shell, and they're like a media conglomerate. And they own like Channel 5 and loads of magazines and a couple of newspapers. And then after that, I went to Newsworks, which is the trade body for the UK press. Okay. So it's all advertising. And that really worked out for me because now I'm a content creator and I work with brands and my main revenue comes through advertising. And I feel like the only reason I've been able to be quite good at it is because I have all that prior knowledge of how algorithms work, how budgets work, how much money brands have. Yeah,
we're gonna catch up after so you can share some of that info with me because that sounds like stuff I need to know. But okay, obviously you're an analyst, right? Has cooking always been a passion because the content that you create, it centers around cooking, or how would you describe it?
Yeah, my content is all food based. Like I think like 80% of it is recipes, and then maybe a bit of like food review and stuff. But yeah, I prioritize my recipes over my opinions on restaurants and other things. Sorry, I forgot your question.
I said, I forgot the question as well. But I suppose what I wanted to understand is how did you make the transition?
Oh,
So
right,
obviously you
okay.
started as an analyst.
Yeah.
Like, what was the tipping point where you were like, okay, I'm going to do this full time? Have you always been passionate about cooking?
I've always been very passionate about food.
Hmm.
I love eating food. I used to watch so many cooking programs, probably lot less than I do now because I have less time. But I've always been very passionate about food. I haven't always cooked. And I think the reason for that is that my mum was an amazing cook, like amazing, amazing, amazing. But, and so I never really learned because she was always cooking all the time.
But she didn't want you in the kitchen
She
helping.
did. My mum was always like, school comes first. So I'm really lucky. Like growing up, we didn't have many chores. It was always like school comes first. Always, always, always.
Yeah.
Both my parents were like that. And so it's like, if you have schoolwork to do, you don't need to help out.
Okay.
Obviously that changed as I got older
Yeah.
and I did start helping her. So I didn't always used to help her, but it wasn't ever like, you need to come in and learn how to make this. It was more like, my mum also, she only started cooking after she had kids. So she was like, don't worry, like when you need to do it, it'll come to you.
Okay.
So I actually started cooking while I was looking after her when she was going through chemotherapy.
Oh wow. Okay.
So it was like kind of a passion born out of necessity, if you must. But the really sad thing is that during that time when I was cooking and learning how to cook, I felt like I couldn't really ask her for her secrets because I didn't want her to think that I didn't think that she was not going to make it.
Oh,
You know what I
no,
mean?
yeah, I do know.
So
what you mean.
like
You
my
wanted to be
biggest
strong.
yeah. So I'm like acting like, don't worry, you're gonna be fine, even though like we know what's happening. So I never felt like I could be like, Mum, you need to tell me how to make this because I can, you know. So I really regret and I always say this to my friends now. I'm like, if your mom is a good cook, like get a notebook and get her to write everything down because I really, really regret not having that. And now when I'm making something that she used to make, I have to like my goal is to make it taste just like it used to taste when she made it. And like whenever I make something like that, like I have to take it to, I've got a younger brother and sister and I make them eat it. I'm like, does it taste like Mum's? And they're like, usually they say no, yeah, but I know they're lying. I know they're lying because I'm like, I know it tastes the same. But yeah.
That they treat you mean to keep you on your toes, right?
100%.
They don't want you to slack.
100%. Younger siblings are evil, man. They pick on me. They pick on me. And the whole world thinks I'm cool except my family.
always the way.
That's the case.
So coming back to I suppose like the cooking. Was it something that you saw back in the days working at advertising where you were like, oh, maybe I should record what I'm doing and start to post it on social media? Or was this like part of like, I suppose, a coping mechanism? What was it that made you start posting?
I think more the latter. I think, well, I don't know what it is now. I think the content creator space is like a lot more saturated now. But when I started like 2-3 years ago, there was still like a smaller group of people doing it. And my impression is that anyone who's gone into it as a passion and is consistent exceeds expectations. As in, if you go into it thinking, I'm going to be the biggest cooking influencer, this is what I'm going to do, then I feel like unless you're truly passionate about what you're doing, it's gonna fall off at some point. I don't know. And I feel like that's true with everything, right? Like
100%.
So when I started doing it, I didn't even contemplate that it could ever grow to this level. I was just kind of as I said to you, I started cooking for my mum, and then after she passed away, I still kind of carried on because then I was looking after my dad, whole other thing. And like through COVID and stuff. So I was still cooking. Yeah, it was like my coping mechanism. And then I was like putting things on like my personal Instagram, the Finsta, if you must. And I'd have like people asking me how to make certain things I'd made and being like, what did you make for dinner yesterday? And I was like, maybe I should make a public page. And I think I made a public page maybe early 2021.
Wow.
Or like
it's only been going for 2 years or 2 and a bit years.
Maybe just that Christmas, because I remember when COVID started, I remember I was in the office and I was looking at my phone, and I remember sitting opposite like my colleague, and I was like, I've got like 500 followers today. I was like, I don't know what's happening. And this was just like someone else coming in being like, has anyone heard of this pandemic? Like, This was all happening at the same time. So I think it was like, Well, you know what they say, luck is, okay, I can't remember the exact quote, but it's kind of a bit like luck is
It's like luck is hard work meets
opportunity.
opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like a perfect shebang. And
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
quite a lot of creators I know now that like I'm friends with that we all came up during the same time, which was like lockdown. And so yeah, that's how it kind of started. And then I was doing both. So I was working and I was doing content for like a good year. And I just really burnt out. Like I really, really burnt out. And then I felt like I wasn't really doing anything new at my job. I felt like my page wasn't really going anywhere. Everything kind of stagnated because I was so exhausted all the time, because I was also looking after my dad during this time. So I was just like, do you know what? If I have to drop one thing, I deserve to give this content creation thing a full go. So I quit my job, which was a crazy decision, but it worked out, I think.
I think as well. Something that keeps coming into my head, and I've told you off air, and I'll tell you again on air.
Okay.
Like, I've been like devouring your content.
Okay.
And obviously when you're like posting your videos, you post like the quantities and the measurements. And listening to you now, knowing that you've actually not cooked for that long, do you think being good at maths has made you a good cook? Do you just see it as like a big equation?
An equation. It would be a very, very complicated equation. It would be like to the nth degree. Yeah. No, like I do think I'm an analyst first. And I've struggled with that actually, because I've always like studied maths, worked in like data side. So I've never worked in like a creative space. I don't really consider myself a creative first. And I think with recipe development, there is obviously a lot of creativeness that goes into it. But yeah, you're right. I do look at it. I don't think of it as an equation, but as like a recipe is like an orchestra. Okay, which I suppose you can say is an equation. So
you're the Hans Zimmer of cooking. Yeah.
You said it, not me. Or like you're into sports, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're like a, what do you play?
Football.
Okay,
tennis.
so like an amazing football team, but it's like the full team is only as good as all the players combined. Like you can't have one star ingredient.
There's no Lionel Messi or food.
No.
Okay, cool. I'm joking.
No. I'm so glad I knew who that was. But my mum's approach to cooking was, because she was a scientist as well. She was a doctor, and she was always like, people really overcomplicate it. It is a science. Cooking is a science, and I agree with it to an extent. So I think there are certain rules and things you need to know, but that can be easily learned through experience.
And there's so many questions I have. I suppose the first thing, being an influencer, how often are you posting new recipes? Is it daily? Is it weekly? What's the frequency? Is it just when you feel like it, when something comes to mind?
I'm incredibly inconsistent, and I think that's probably one of my biggest flaws, where I feel like recently especially been fairly inconsistent. But ideally you should be posting like at least once a week. Okay. But there is no right or wrong answer. I think sometimes you can be in a trajectory where your videos are going viral, because also you have to remember, if you look at all of my videos, there's only a small percentage of them that have gone viral, but those are the ones that get you the following. All the followers. Exactly. So you have to keep trying. You have to keep trying new ways of editing and new ways of formatting.
Would you say that you do that? Like, so
I edit all my own stuff. Yeah.
You edit all your own stuff?
I film, edit everything I do myself.
No, I mean, I know you're the one talking over it.
I do everything. Yeah.
So I really want to like unpack this for the viewer, because there's so many like camera shots. Do you use like professional equipment? Is it just your phone?
It's just my phone.
And do you just literally have it like there?
I have a tiny these tripods you have here are crazy massive. I literally have like a small tripod. Basically, I used to use a professional camera when I first started, but then when I don't know if you've seen, I've done quite a lot of collaborations with Mob Kitchen.
I probably have seen it, but
you probably have seen it. They're quite big in the foodie space. They're quite big.
Okay.
And when I went to Mob, they all use their phones, and I was like, okay, like, because editing on your phone is a hell of a lot easier, and filming on and iPhone cameras are pretty good now. So yeah, I just film on my phone.
My big takeaways from a lot of the content that I've seen is that, like you must have some paid partnership with like British Lion Eggs because you mentioned them.
I do.
Even
We're
if you
in an
didn't have
annual
it,
partnership.
is
Yeah,
it?
it's a year-long partnership.
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I'm one of
She's doing a good job because look at me. That's like the thing that rings in my head.
Look out for the red stamp.
Yeah, I'm like those eggs, man. Damn, I need to go. I need to go get me some of those eggs. I can see that. No, I've definitely seen a lot of other things as well, but the eggs has been the thing where I'm like, wow, okay. Where did I want to go to off the back of that? Okay, so you're using a camera.
iPhone camera.
And do you record things from different angles then?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to cook the thing more than once, or how does that work?
No, but it depends, right? So you don't have to cook it more than once, but sometimes you just have one shot and that's what you have to go with. So you have to make sure it's the perfect shot. And that's why it can be extremely rewarding, but also extremely frustrating when you mess it up and this happens all the time where you will literally, the final shot, so you have to remember, you have to think what you have before you film or while you're filming it, like what is my power shot? What is the thing that I'm going to open with? And that will usually be like, either say if you've got like a toasty, like something's really cheesy, it's going to be the cheese ball. If it's like an egg, it's going to be like the yolk squirt. So, unless you've made like a couple of different versions of it that you have in the bag, you have one take. And if you mess it up, then
that's it.
Start over.
That's so crazy.
And also, sorry, I'll just interrupt you to say that with food content, in my opinion, natural light is the best. So it's also very dependent on what time of day it is. So say if it's like near the end of the day and you've messed up, that's your day done. You have to wait till tomorrow to start again.
Wow.
And yeah, I think nothing looks better than sunlight.
Okay,
Like,
there you go. You heard it there first. We're going to clip that.
Like,
nothing looks better than
sunlight. Like, yeah, of course you can have professional lights and stuff, but I whenever I've tried, it doesn't work for me because also I'm not a professional, so I don't know what it looks like. And then also my experience with other content creators who have similar content to me were like, yeah, sunlight. I want to move to California just because of that, because I'm like 24/7 sunshine. It's hard out here.
Manifest it and make it happen.
I don't know if I could live in America though, but less.
You spoke about the power shot. Have you always known about the power shot, or is this something that you've learned coming up with other content creators and just as your content has developed? Because me as a content creator, like I don't know that. Like I don't know what's gonna slap, as an example.
I think it's something I've always kind of known because before making food content, I used to consume a lot of food content. Like back in the day, BuzzFeed Food was like one of the main ones. And you always start with the best bit because, well, you don't always have to start with the best bit, but it's like clickbait, right? Almost.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound too good, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's
why should somebody watch your video or consume your content?
Exactly.
So you're giving them a
it's
taster.
food porn. It's food porn. You're
Yeah.
trying to seduce someone with like the first 5 seconds, and then once you're in there, then it's like, okay, this is how you actually make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and talking about creating the content, can you share a memorable kitchen disaster or mishap that taught you an important lesson in cooking?
I have so many all the time. You should, yeah. It can be pretty hectic working in the kitchen because I don't lose my temper a lot, but sometimes it does happen, especially when I've had a kitchen disaster. I can't think of a specific one.
I saw one, like there was a cake that just crumbled. Maybe that one. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's actually most of my disasters like that come from baking because I'm a cook, not a baker.
Yeah.
And with cooking, especially like coming from like an Asian background, we can do it quite intuitively. Baking is not intuitive. I know a lot of people claim it is, but they're chatting. Can I swear?
Yeah.
They're chatting shit.
Don't cancel me, YouTube.
They're talking crap.
Yeah.
Better. Okay. So yeah, all of my disasters have been around baking, where I'm like, okay, it's like my measuring scale's not working. I can eyeball it. It'll be fine. And then it's just a waste of ingredients and it just doesn't work out. But yeah, that cake, for example, everything was going perfectly fine, but it was completely my fault because you should always wait till a cake is cooled down until you move it. And I was like, nah, it looks pretty solid to me. Did it? Yeah.
Basically, I think that's good content.
Yeah, it is, but it was also extremely frustrating because the laws of physics did not work in my favor that day.
I can see like it still burns you now. Look,
still does. Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god. Okay. We'll move on from that. How do you balance staying true to your culinary style whilst also adapting to new food trends and evolving tastes?
I guess I would have to know what my culinary style is, but I think, go on.
From what I see, and don't shoot me if I'm wrong, you make delicious and flavoursome dishes in under 30 minutes. There's a lot of time-based.
There is a lot of
goodness.
time-based stuff.
I could be wrong.
There's a lot of like quick recipes.
And also, like, from your
impatient.
heritage, being from Pakistan, like, you've compared stuff to like other Asian countries. So yeah, your culinary style is just vibes, quick vibes.
Quick vibes. I think, you're right. I think also, like, growing up in London, we are exposed to all kinds of food. And I think I'm so grateful for that. We're like, even at home, we didn't always eat Pakistani food. Like, my mum would make food from everywhere, and then you have friends from all around the world, and you go to their house and you eat so many things. So I think I've always enjoyed kind of, not necessarily fusion food, but picking up things from other cultures and using them in things that you're doing yourself. I don't actually love I don't love the term fusion food, because I think that all food is
Fusion.
kind of fusion. And
Understood.
I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that, because I'll tell you why. Because I feel like I get really frustrated when people take like a really strong ownership over food. Like, this is the right way to do it. This is how you do it. And it's like, no one sent that recipe down from the sky. Like, people have been experimenting. We didn't get bread from the sky. Someone ground up wheat and then mixed it with water, and like, it happened all around the world over time. So it's like a shared connection that we all have. And I think that's really important to come across in my cooking style anyway, somehow. I don't know how.
As you've just been speaking there for the last minute, all I could think was Ghanaian versus Nigerian jollof.
Exactly, right? And like,
why must one claim it? Can all jollof not just be nice and consumed?
I see so many videos like there was like, which African country has the best jollof? So what is it, Ghana, Nigeria? But apparently Senegal is the best. I don't know. I haven't tried it. I've actually only ever had Nigerian
I'm back
jollof.
in the motherland.
Yeah.
All right, Nigeria for the win.
Yeah,
But
you think Nigerian? Yeah.
Of course, always.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You've heard it here.
Don't let
guys.
me be disowned by my own country.
Who makes the best jollof that you know? Your mum.
Yeah, of course.
Is it?
Yeah, my mum. Like, it's not.
You had to think about it though.
No. Do you know? Because I was like, do I go myself? But no, Mumsy's jollof is it's the best.
Do you know if she's got a secret?
If she does, I don't even want to know the answer.
Okay.
Just keep it a secret. Just keep
Okay.
it a secret. But it don't taste. I feel like a lot of jollofs, they taste quite similar, and I don't know if it's because they go to the same shop and use the same Maggi cube. But
Yeah.
my mum's one
Tastes
just got this
different.
different. It just hits different.
That's what I told you. That's what I'm trying to recreate my mom's stuff. It's like, what did she do that was different? Like, it's hard to pick up on it. But yeah, ask your mom.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah,
I will.
and then tell me.
Another thing I wanted to go to, and I like to just start about. We've obviously mentioned the British Lion eggs. Look, if you want to sponsor me as well, British Lion eggs, we can talk
Yeah.
after. I'm joking. But
I'll put you in touch.
yeah, when you're actually purchasing the ingredients to cook your foods, do you go to markets? Do you go to supermarkets?
Everywhere. Do you know what? I think I've always really, really enjoyed grocery shopping. It's actually one of my first memories about like when I moved to the UK, and the first time I went to a Sainsbury's, I was like, whoa.
Oh, really?
Honestly, I remember it so vividly. I remember being like, just standing there being like, shit,
Yeah.
this is it.
It got real.
So I go to a lot of different supermarkets, and I think you have to, especially with like the cost of living crisis. Prices have gone up like mad, so it does help to shop around.
So the cost of living crisis, I was going to ask you about that. Have you felt that?
Of course. Like, of course I felt it. Like a lot of my costs are ingredient based, right? And like, you've been to the supermarkets, everything is so expensive. I think especially like meat, seafood, anything like that is.
What's the wildest increase you've seen?
Chicken.
Yeah.
Chicken thighs used to be like, I feel like it used to be like $3.50 for a pack of like 600 grams.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm fantasizing now. But I swear it used to be that much. Whereas now I think it's easy like $6.50.
What?
Yeah, easy.
And they're trying to tell us that inflation is under 5%.
It's honestly so bad. And I think even like,
that's mad.
yeah. Chicken is mad. Even like, I saw a bottle of ketchup the other day, like a big bottle of Heinz was $4.50, and I was like, I guess I'm not eating ketchup then.
Yeah, like
Sorry, Heinz, if you hear this, then please, I would love to try some ketchup.
No, but that's crazy.
Have you not noticed it?
Of course I notice it, but like I thought, oh, you know, maybe you're in the know. Like maybe you get some.
The Bank of England calls me especially like, oh, Zainab.
I don't know, like maybe they're. Like,
No.
maybe you got the eggs on that supply. Where
No. We gotta pay for everything. We have to pay. We have to buy everything ourselves
okay,
still.
Okay, you're feeling the pain. Okay, cooking influencers feel the same pain we do, guys.
We
Well,
do. Yeah, my
content
rent's gone up.
creators
My
as well.
rent is like extortionate. But anyway, let me not go off on a tangent about inflation.
As a content creator specializing in cooking, you likely experiment with various cuisines. What's one lesser known dish or ingredient that you believe deserves more attention?
So I think that my approach to food and recipes is I try to keep it fairly accessible. So I'm going to not tell you like a crazy ingredient, but I think that an ingredient that is undervalued, not by, without a better term, foodies or like people who cook quite a lot, but just like the standard average person at home, is any sort of acid. So like lemon, vinegar, yogurt, all of these kind of come under the acid group. And I feel like people in everyday cooking don't make as much use of it as you should.
Okay.
Because as I said to you earlier, a good recipe is like an orchestra, right? It's about balancing sweet, salty, savory, spicy, whatever. And a little squeeze of lemon goes a long way in anything. Even maybe in your mum's jollof. But
Whoa, it's so funny you say that.
she would do.
No, but like my partner was like, I don't like squeezing lemon or lime on meals.
It doesn't, I'm not saying it has to be on top of your meal. I'm
Okay.
saying like if you're marinating some chicken, a little bit of lemon or a little bit of yogurt or a little bit of vinegar. Like if you look at my vinegars, I have like 10 different kinds of vinegars and they're all, yeah. So anyway, sorry, your partner.
No, I just said like
You make her squeeze the lemon.
No. She'll squeeze it on her stuff. So let's say we get like calamari
Yeah.
and that. I'll just dip the calamari in sauce and eat it.
You don't like the little zing of the lemon?
No, if I wanted a lemon, I'd eat a lemon. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. But
If I wanted
maybe
a
I'm
lemon,
crazy.
I'd eat a lemon.
Maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah, I mean, crazy is a strong word. I wouldn't use that, but
I
it's a bit.
I think I like sweet stuff over sour stuff, and I
Okay.
think that's why. Like sweet things, cookies, cakes, chocolates. I love that. Sour.
But I'm not necessarily saying that use it to make your food sour. I'm
No,
just
no,
saying
no,
it's a
yeah,
background note.
I
It's a
understand.
background
I
note. So like for example, in baking, like when you're making like cookies or whatever, we'll always add a bit of salt. There will always be some salt in it.
Really?
And it's just like, it's not going to make it salty. It will just make the sweet taste more sweet.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
We're gonna need to
So you
incorporate
had salted caramel. Like, why is it so good? Do you like salted caramel?
Yeah, I love salted caramel.
I feel like you've just had like a revelation.
No, but this is why I get people on the podcast so I can learn these things. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay, so the salt makes it more
Salt
sweet.
makes the sweet sweeter. Yeah.
I'm changing gears again.
If something's like quite rich, like a really rich creamy sauce, like a little squeeze of lemon in it will just make it, like it won't make it sour, but it will just, I don't know, it will just like kind of balance everything out.
Okay, so just to summarize there, a lesser known ingredient that deserves more praise.
Not
Anything
lesser known, but more like, yeah, something that deserves more praise. But sorry, I know I didn't answer your question exactly, but
We're gonna take it.
Yeah.
Take it. Can you describe a turning point in your culinary journey where you realised the impact you were making as a content creator?
I get a lot of really, really nice messages, like really, really sweet messages. And a lot of them are actually my favorite one is probably like, must have been like a student. And I think she was like from India, but she was studying in the Netherlands or something. And she had been there like since COVID and she had another chance to go home and she hadn't seen her family. And she was like, I can't remember exactly which recipe she made. It might have been like I can't remember exactly what it was. Probably was a curry of some sort. But she wrote me like a whole long thing being like how she hasn't been able to kind of taste that kind of food in so many places. She was like, she's been to restaurants, but she just hasn't had that home taste. And from following my page, she can like recreate stuff for herself. And that it's been like a really emotional experience for her. And she was just so grateful and just so lovely about it that when I read that, I was like, damn, like, obviously I know people watch these videos, but I'm on one side of the space, right? So I don't see someone actually watching it. I don't see their reaction. Like, yeah, you get the likes and stuff, but when you actually hear about the genuine impact you've made in someone's life, that was pretty moving. I was like, damn, okay, cool. Amazing.
Does it, and you know, I'm sure I know the answer to this question, but every time, are you able to see a lot of these messages?
Yeah, I go through my DMs. I'm not as good at replying to them as I'd like to be. But yeah, I see all the messages, but sometimes you might see something and I'm like, I need to reply to that, and then it will kind of get pushed down, but I see them.
And I have to ask this because I think about like mental health and welfare. There's a lot of positivity in the world. There's also a lot of negativity. Do you ever receive? I wouldn't call it hate because I mean you're cooking, but do you ever receive things and it's like not, I suppose, warranted, or things that you don't want to see, and get messages like that? And how do you deal with that?
I do a little bit, but I feel like because it's a cooking space and it's a food space, people tend to be a bit nicer.
Okay, good.
That being said, though, of course, there's always a couple of people who do go on the offensive, and I think my best approach to it is I never reply to them.
Okay.
I never reply.
Just don't.
I don't engage.
Yeah.
Engage with it unless it's people commenting on your videos and they're being hateful or they're being controversial. But what they don't realize is that controversy equals engagement. So
Okay.
argue away, guys. It's fine by me.
So, and I suppose the reason I'm asking those questions to anybody who's looking to get into the content creator space and might be going through something similar, what would your advice be to dealing with it? I suppose ignore.
I think ignore. I think definitely ignore. That's my approach, because it's like, why are you entertaining this person? What value are you going to get out of responding? Think about it like that. What's going to happen? Nothing. Literally nothing. Unless it's something. It's interesting. So recently I've been getting a lot of messages with obviously all the atrocities that are going on in Gaza and going on in Palestine. I've had a lot of people message me being like that you need to speak up more and you need to say more. And I will reply to those people because then I can explain myself and being like, I am speaking about it. I can't talk about it 24/7, but I am speaking about it. And a lot of the times people like that, they're not coming at me because they're hateful. It's like, that's an open conversation. So those ones I will respond to. There's a good reason for responding to that. But if someone messages me being like, "You're shit, I hate you," delete.
It's really funny that you actually mentioned that, like people asking you to like comment on, obviously, like you said, there are atrocities that are going on. Do you feel like it's your responsibility? Because I don't know, like it feels like that's a lot to carry, right?
It is, of course, but I think that at the end of the day, I've got a platform, and I think I've got a platform, I've got a voice, I've got a following. If I care about something, I should be able to speak about it. So with everything happening in Gaza and all the stuff that's been going on in Palestine, I have been speaking about it because I think
You want to raise awareness.
I want to raise awareness, and I feel like most of my audience agrees with me anyway. But if there is a small fraction that doesn't agree, I would love to try and change their mind. So, those kind of dialogue and those kind of conversations I'm having. So no, I don't think it's a responsibility per se, but I think it's... No, actually, maybe it is a responsibility. I don't know. That's quite a difficult question.
No, I know, and like
Yeah.
I didn't say like there's a right answer, and I suppose the reason I say that, like it doesn't necessarily. This is obviously like a great conflict, right? But then, do you think maybe this is gonna spill into other things, like people might ask you to, talk about who you think should run for president in America, or who you think should be elected as the prime minister in the UK.
Yeah, but I'm happy to give my opinion on those things.
Yeah, and that's fine.
I mean, I'm fairly political. I'm not like, I keep up with current affairs. I have my opinion, so I won't ever hide from what I believe in, and I'm quite vocal about that, I think. And I think that's just who I am as a person. Like, I've gone to the protests, I will protest. So that's just who I am. So I'm not going to change that in the hopes that, this brand won't want to work with me, because if they don't want to work with someone like that, it's probably for the best in the long run.
Yeah, no, I think it's really good. It's really good. There we go. What role do cultural influences play in your recipes, and how do you approach incorporating diverse flavors into your cooking?
Yeah, I mean, my background is Pakistani, so that obviously plays a tremendous role in my palate, and then that comes across in my recipes. But as I said to you, growing up in London, we have exposure to cuisine from all around the world, and what I've actually learned is that a lot of ethnic cuisines have a lot of similarities, but you might just not realize. This is actually quite interesting. So I'll ask you. So for example, dude, can you cook? A little bit.
Yeah.
Do you know how to make
Don't look at me like that and say, "Can I cook?" Like, coming at man on his own podcast. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
So for example, okay, so in Nigerian food you have stews.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the difference between a stew and a curry?
I couldn't tell you.
You can't tell me because there's actually not much difference.
Maybe it's just the name.
yeah, it is a name because actually they're made pretty much the same way. So even like Jollof and like a lot of we have like pilaus and biryanis, which are like not exactly similar, but there's a lot of similarities and a lot of different kind of food cultures. So I guess it's about how you can kind of use them, but while still respecting where it comes from and kind of giving credit where it's due. And I think when creators do that, then it works out perfectly. Like I know loads of people who like maybe say someone who's not from a Korean background loves making Korean food. And if as long as I think you give credit and you're authentic about it, then that's fine. And I'd like to hope that the same goes for me as well, where yeah, I do make Pakistani food a lot, but then I also take a lot from other East Asian food and like Mexican food and even like American food and a lot of European food, like French food. Take a lot of techniques from French food. And I think as long as you're authentic about it, you credit where it comes from, it's all good. Because at the end of the day, as I said to you, I think food is a shared culture, and I don't like it when people try to really divide it and be territorial about it. I don't like that.
How many times do you cook something before you say, okay, I can teach this, or I can post about this because I got this on Smash?
So when I first started doing it, I would make something the first time and film it and post it. But then, But then, as I started getting bigger, it's inevitable that you compare yourself to other people. So then I would say, let's say something really simple. Say I make like a macaroni and cheese, right? It's pretty good. It's good. The video's done well. Then say I start watching other people's videos of macaroni and cheese, and I'm like, that's amazing. How do I make mine? Now I'm at that stage where I feel like being good is not good enough. It has to be like amazing. So now I do a lot more recipe testing, and I think that's why actually I posed a lot less than when I first started, where first it was a bit more kind of slapdash, whereas now I'd like to test something a couple of times before I post it, because there's nothing worse than if I make something and I post it and then I make it the next day and it's like 10 times better and I'm like,
yeah,
really fucked up.
And are you like noting down as you're making things as well, so you know that?
No, like if I'm baking, then yeah, but otherwise it's a lot of times it's like you might be surprised at what can go wrong in a recipe. It can be something really, really small. It can be just like everything was fine, but just the way I chopped the potatoes didn't quite work out, and because of that the sauce was a lot runnier. So now I know for next time they need to be a bit smaller. So not something I need to write down, I'll remember it. Yeah,
that's mad. So many little things go into it, doesn't it?
So many little things. Yeah.
I've lost my train of thought.
Another really important thing is making sure you keep cleaning your lens. That's like a really big thing, because when you're cooking food, it steams up. Like you might get a splash on it and you might not realize until you're watching the footage back and you're like, it's all just, you can't use it.
Can I just say, that's golden.
Yeah.
That's golden right there.
That's the best thing he thinks I've said so far. That says a lot.
No, but they're the kind of snippets that people come for.
Keep your lens clean.
Keep your lens clean.
Yeah.
Something that keeps coming into my head, I'm just going to say the things as they come into my head. So we've obviously spoke about cost of living. How do you feel about companies like HelloFresh?
I've worked with HelloFresh before.
That doesn't mean you feel good about it. That was just like, I've worked with HelloFresh. I suppose, let me elaborate on the question. So for me, I look at like what you cook, and even though it looks easy, I think go into the shop, like the right quantities, making sure I do the right amount, making sure there's no waste.
I thought you said you could cook.
I didn't say I could cook many things. I can cook the jollof, spag bowl, lasagna.
The classics.
Yeah, that's all you need to survive.
Okay. Sorry.
No, but what I was going to say is, they've obviously come in and I think they do like a good job with their recipes. Do you agree? Or do you think that, people can do this stuff for themselves, I suppose, versus having to have the ingredients sent to them?
I think that all the recipe boxes, HelloFresh and all of that, I think it's a good idea because look, as you've just said,
Reduces food
it
waste.
reduces food waste. You don't mind paying the premium price because someone's making it really convenient for you. And I feel like the world is very much about convenience now, right? Like we want everything a lot easier because we're a lot busier. So if it works for you, I think it works. It's perfect. Say if you live alone, you don't want to do a massive shop and measure everything out. As you said, yeah, for you it works perfectly. So I've got no issue with them.
Amazing.
And I think also I've been sent their boxes before, and I do really like the recipes they have, and I do think that they're diverse, they're vibrant, they're easy, and they make people experiment with flavors that they wouldn't necessarily do it otherwise, right?
I agree.
So what can you think of anything that you've made on there recently or a while back where you're like, oh, like I would have never made this myself otherwise?
Loads of things.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything.
Everything.
But to be fair, I do like, I think I go for the same things. The only thing I would say, if anybody from HelloFresh is looking at this, they've cut down on the amount of veg they put in their meals.
Really?
And as somebody who's trying to, eat a balanced diet, I think they're scrimping on the veg.
Okay, HelloFresh, you heard it first.
There you go. To anybody who's thinking to get into the content creation space, we've obviously spoken about wiping the lens. What other advice or things should people consider before starting?
I think be authentic. Don't think of what do people want to see. Think what do I want to see. Think about it like that. Be authentic and also be consistent. I think consistency is really, really important. As I said to you earlier, from all of my videos, there will be a percentage that have gone viral, and I wouldn't be looking back at it. I wouldn't have known that this video is going to go viral. So you don't know what's going to work, what's not going to work. So constantly kind of experiment, be consistent, be authentic.
Amazing. And I'm just looking for the right one here. What is the future of food content on social media, and how do you see the role of content creators in cooking evolving in the coming years?
I mean, I don't think it's going anywhere for a long time. Fingers crossed. I hope. And I think that slowly, I think people will just become like brands almost. Not in a bad way, but I think that's where it's going, where everyone's trying to build their own brand and everyone's trying to build an identity. And I think we'll get to a point where, of course, it will be oversaturated, but yeah, I don't know. So I think the influencer space is like the wild, wild west. Like there's very little regulation. There's very little laws right now, but of course, over time that will change.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Why does it need law and regulation?
I don't think it needs law and like regulation, but as in terms of advertising. So, internet advertising has a lot of regulation and stuff now. It's happened over time. It's taken a long time, but it's slowly happened. So I think it would be the same for everything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair.
Because you have so much data at your disposal, right? So something will happen with that. I don't know. That's what I think anyway.
This is the start of her origin story of how she becomes an evil cook.
This is my villain arc.
No, I'm joking. Collaboration is key in the influencer world, and you've mentioned the fact that you've done some. What's your experience like working with other content creators?
Great. I mean, yeah, really, really nice. I think in the food space is really lucky, where I think 90% of the people I meet are lovely, and I'm like, yeah, you're great. I would love to work with you. Of course, you have like the 10%, which is like a couple of like egotistical people, which then I wouldn't work with them. So in terms of my collaborations, I've only worked with people that I know I get on with, and when I did my work with Mob as well, like I get on with them. We have like similar kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Similar mindset on what we want to achieve and what this is about. So it works out. And in terms of brands as well, I only really work with brands that I like and I would use in real life, because as you can imagine, I get so many like DMs being like, oh, like try these gummies, try this, try that. And I wouldn't do that because...
And on that note, for people who are new in the space or existing in the space, how is it that you source your clients?
Well, so I've got an agent now, but I've only been with my agency since February this year. So prior to that, I was kind of doing my own management, which was fun. Do you know what? I didn't mind the admin side of it. That was fine. It's just as you said, like, how do you know to reach out to? Because you don't know who to reach out to. And like, you can message brands on Instagram, but that's going to be the social media manager. They don't necessarily manage all the campaigns. Like, it's so fragmented. But I've been really lucky where I've always had brands reach out to me. So I didn't actually have to do much sourcing. And now my agent deals with it. So I have no idea what Nancy's up to. Shout out Nancy.
Hold tight, Nancy. Do you do a lot of cooking for Nancy?
No.
No. Whoa. The scandal. Scandalous. No, I'm joking.
No, sorry, Nancy. I haven't cooked for you yet, but come over anytime.
Nancy, I got your back. You see that? How do you navigate the balance between sharing your personal life and maintaining a professional online presence, considering that many followers are interested in the person behind the recipes?
You might not believe me, but I have very little interest in being famous. I actually don't.
I do believe you.
Yeah.
Why are you saying that?
I don't know. I feel like with influencers, people always assume that we're chasing clout. But it kind of freaks me out that like I could be in a restaurant and there might be someone sitting there and they already know everything about me. Like, how mad is that?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. I don't like that. So because of that, I actually think I'm pretty good at not sharing too much about my personal life, because if you go on my page, unless I'm like talking about something specific in stories, and if you followed me for a while, I think I don't talk that much about what's going on in my personal life. Like, of course, what I eat, kind of where I go a little bit, anything food related is on there, but my day-to-day kind of personal relationships I wouldn't put on there, because I think I'm I'm a private person who's trying to be a public person, essentially. So
I get that, but you're not trying to be public for yourself. You're
no.
just trying to spread the joy.
Exactly, because I have to. Yeah, it's like that.
Bring me in marketing, you see? Yeah, I'm joking. I'm messing around. I completely get it, and I think watching the videos I've seen, I think when you drop in like little personal bits, like things that have inspired specific dishes or why you're cooking specific things, it's very, very natural. Is what
I mean, if it's like related to the recipe, like I think stuff to do with like my parents and like my heritage, like that obviously feeds into a lot of it, but like I wouldn't like romantic relationships or like friendly for like how I am with my friends and stuff, I wouldn't really put that on there very much, because people are like, of course people are interested, but no, not for me. And also like imagine if I'm dating someone and I start putting them on my story, like we break up, like then what?
I know.
Do you know what I mean? And then everyone's like, what happened to him? Which is actually what happened to me recently. But, you know, like I don't talk about it very much, and I wouldn't.
Yeah, I hear it. Do you know what's funny as you say all of that? I feel like, and this is me going off on a complete tangent, and this is nothing to do with you.
Okay.
Just the whole concept of stories.
Yeah.
I feel like it gives normal people a sense of being famous, because who actually cares what people are doing? I don't care what you're doing. I don't care that you're walking down that road. I don't care.
So now you know, if you catch Bio watching your story, just remember he is rinsing you in his head.
Rinsed. And also same with me, but to be honest, I don't really post that much, and the reason I do it, I suppose, similar to you, trying to be public with the podcast profile, but not really my personal one. So like my personal profile's private.
You need, like, for me, it's like I need my private life 100%. If those two crossed over anymore, like I would really struggle. Like I'm not an anxious person, but I do get a bit of anxiety over it. So I try to keep them as separate as I can. But obviously there will be a bit of crossover at times, but
I'm going back again because something's just come to me. Are there any people that like, obviously you've mentioned your mum, are there any like specific influencers or people off the TV who inspire your cooking style or inspire things that you do?
There's a lot of TV chefs. As I said to you, I used to watch a lot of like food programs.
What's the best one?
MasterChef. No.
Man vs Food.
No, I'm going to tell you my one, but I'll get judged for it. I love, and I still watch it to this day, it's this American one called Diners, Drive-In and Dives. Diners,
okay.
Drive-Ins and Dives.
Okay.
I love that show.
Okay.
Guy Fieri. I think his name's Guy Fieri.
Yeah,
Guy Fieri.
He's big,
Guy Fieri.
Yeah. Shout out, Guy.
He is like, he is so the opposite of me, but I love him and like I love that show. And of course, there's like then more highbrow stuff like Anthony Bourdain and like even like Ina Garten, who's like this American chef. I used to watch like The Barefoot Contessa all the time. And yeah, MasterChef of course is inspiring as well, but I've never been like chefy like that. And I think it's because I'm not like professionally trained. I prefer kind of like home cooks that have made it big than to like a really, really like professional, crazy setting.
I get
I
what you
think,
mean.
yeah, I think I'm a bit more topsy turvy for that.
Do you watch The Bear?
I love The Bear.
Do you?
Yeah, I love The Bear.
I've just
So
started it. It's good.
you just started.
Yeah,
What are you on?
I'm 3 episodes in.
3 episodes in. But like, okay, talk to me after you watch the Christmas episode. And I think it's like season 2. But like that kind of hectic tension in the kitchen,
Yeah.
like that is so real. And they've captured that so perfectly. And like, maybe you'll see as you get on as well, where it's like when you're recipe testing something, there's so much that goes into it, like so much thought, so much planning, and getting the ingredients, doing it. And then when it doesn't go well because of one thing that you messed up, it is like, it can be an elation and it can be the most devastating, crushing, horrible feeling. And then yeah, chefs do lose it a little bit. Like I have. There have been times where I've been in the kitchen and I've been like so frustrated, I've literally just like thrown something on the floor. And then I stood there looking at it because of course I'm gonna have to fucking clean it up. So
Why did you do? Can you?
why did I do that?
Can I actually like just dive a little bit deeper into that? You mentioned the fact that so much thought, so much planning goes into some of these recipes. Could you just take us through like a complete process of thinking about something you're going to cook, how you would plan to cook it, and how you'd go about actually doing that?
So okay, say if it's something that kind of exists already, like say if you're like, oh, a lasagna, that's different.
Or jollof rice.
Or a jollof rice, exactly. Or like anything like that. Whereas say if you're something that you've got a concept in your head. So like I've been really playing around with a lot of like pies, like savory pies. So I really wanted to do like this kind of Cajun inspired like chicken pie. And then so for the process for that is first like testing out the pastry. So then I'm like, okay, I'm not a pastry chef. So then I'll do some research. I'll look at like a couple of different recipes on how to make good pastry. And it's almost like kind of studying a little bit where you're like, you get a couple of different recipes, be like, this is what I like about this one, this is what I like about this one. And you kind of use that to construct your own. Then you play around with it. And yes, then, yeah, that's it basically. So research.
Yeah.
A bit of analysis.
And then you just go about cook it.
And then execution. Yeah. And then
tantrum.
Tantrum.
Throw utensils
Tantrum.
on the ground.
Yeah, exactly. And then I also have this horrible thing where like when all of that stuff happens, I'll just like be like, I can't do this anymore. And I'll just go have a shower, change into my pajamas and just go lie in bed for like 2 hours. And then I'll be like, come back and clean everything up.
Oh,
just
wow.
so bad. But that's only when I've had like a really, really long stressful day and I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore. I need to get out of this kitchen.
Everyone has their process, right?
Bad for my housemate, but all right for me. Yeah, my process is quite chaotic. Yeah.
Do you know what? Can I just say, like, this has been so real. No, but people need to hear this, right? Because, like you say, a lot of times on Instagram or TikTok or whatever, people are going to see the finished article. And I think you've just given a good insight into we fail, we fuck up.
Oh,
it's
all
okay.
the time. It's
We move on. Do
chaotic.
you know what
I
mean?
do this like little song for my sister-in-law, and it's like after I do a filming day, I make a video of her doing a whole tour of my kitchen and my house, and like we have a little song where we're like filming day chaos, and like it's always a wreck. Because when you're filming as well, it's like, okay, say I use like 1 spoon for a shot. For my next shot, I need another clean spoon. Do you think I'm going to go wash that spoon? No, I'm just throwing it, grabbing another one. And so it's just like, yeah, it gets really, really messy. And when I worked at Mob, the best thing about being there was that you don't have to clean anything up. Like, of course, you have to clean your counters, but you don't have to wash your dishes because they have cleaners at the end of the day that come do that. And although I have a dishwasher, I still have to load it and I still have to unload it. And
It's long.
It's long. A lot of time goes into cleaning up. But
Do you cook every meal?
what, like every single day?
Yeah.
Nah. No, what do you mean? Like, I don't eat processed food. Like, I don't eat like ready meals. I don't think I've ever had a ready meal. Maybe like once or twice in my life.
No, but like breakfast, lunch, dinner. Like, are you regularly cooking? I know you like your eggs. Are you cooking that for breakfast? You're cooking again at lunch. You're cooking again at dinner.
Not 3 meals a day. I think most days I actually probably eat 2 meals.
Okay.
But my first meal of the day is always breakfast. But today, for example, I haven't eaten anything yet.
Wow. we're not gonna say what the time is, but okay, yeah.
But like I used to be able to like eat first thing in the growing up. Yeah, my mum would not let us go to school until we ate breakfast. Like we were not allowed to leave the house. She would lock the door. She'd be like, you have to sit and eat it. So I've grown up been doing that. But as I've gotten older, I can't eat first thing.
Do you like being cooked for?
I love being cooked for, and I'm not a fussy eater at all. Like I will happily eat most things. So I love being cooked for, and I hate cooking for myself, and I don't cook for myself.
What?
I make like basic things, like if I'm eating. So last night for dinner, I had an omelette because it's just me. I'm not gonna make a meal because no, I'm not gonna do that.
Wow. But talking about cooking for people, you've done like some at home.
I did supper clubs. I did a series of supper clubs with Get Your Guide. Yeah, that was really cool. So it was like you have a menu and then you sell tickets and then people come. But it was more of like a kind of a dining experience where it was like a cooking class combined with like a full meal. And that was really, really nice. I loved doing that. It was hectic, but it was really nice to like meet people who actually follow me and are fans, and then to be able to speak to them and for them to be able to eat the food and be like, actually, do you know what? You're a pretty good cook. And me being like, okay, thank God. Like, it's not just for the cameras. So that was really amazing. And I did like some pretty cool cooking classes at Taste of London as well this year, which was amazing. So yeah, I love doing stuff like that. I always get really nervous about it. I was really nervous about this as well, but I think once I start doing it, I'm all right.
You've been great. To any potential fans listening, will there be any more supper clubs coming?
I hope so. You know what? I've always said, and maybe the bear, I'm sure the bear has made a lot of people think like this, where I've always been like, oh, I'd never want to like open a restaurant. But I'm getting like quite tempted by the idea, especially after since watching that.
Really?
And I've got a friend, shout out Pedro, who was on MasterChef actually. He went to uni with us, but I don't know if you know him. He was in the year below.
Also, Rav went to uni with us as well. Do you know that? Rav Gill. She went to our uni.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was the year above us.
Oh, really?
You know, like she does the TV.
Yeah.
She went to our uni as well. Shout out Southampton.
I didn't know that. We have
that, or I'm bugging, and I've got someone else in my head. And that's really
I've met her a couple of times, and we've got like some mutual friends, but I'm not friendly with her. But maybe I'll message her being like, hey, Sutton babe. Do you know what she studied? No, it doesn't matter.
It was a
long time ago. But yeah, Southampton pushing out all the.
Literally, as I've just said, what were we just talking about? Oh, okay. So we talked about supper club. Is there going to be more? You said hope so. Now, what we can talk about? You've also got a book.
Yes, and that book feels so old now. That book was like a baby kind of achievement, I think, because it wasn't with like a proper publisher. It was
a book is a book.
A book is a book, but I am in talks of doing a proper book, like a proper book, and the conversations are kind of just starting. So that's really, really exciting because.
Yeah, the question I had of that. So regardless of whether it was a baby book, whatever, it looks great.
Thank you.
How do you decide on the recipes that go in there, and if you're in talks to do a new book, how would you decide on what is going to go into that book as well?
So my first book was a collection of recipes that already existed. So it was kind of basically about going into my recipes and picking out what I think work best with this book, and which recipes, if I had to just put 50 recipes out there in the world, what they would be based on what I had done already. So that was more like kind of almost like an archive, if you must. Whereas this next book is going to be, I can't say very much, but we haven't completely decided on a theme yet. But these will all be new recipes that are made for this book. Specifically, yeah. So there'll be like quite a few months of like recipe development and figuring out what kind of things I want to share in them. But yeah, they'll all be new stuff.
Okay. Switching up the gears again.
Yeah.
What would you say is the most rewarding thing about being a content creator?
I think helping people, definitely rewarding wise. As I said to you, like when I get messages from people, like I love messages when they're from like students who are like away from home and they're like they miss the taste of home and they made this and they were able to feed themselves and nourish themselves. That makes me really, really happy. And Then there's also been a lot of, especially with like Asian food, there's been a lot of like girls who will message me being like, this is the recipe, this is the dish I made that finally won my mother-in-law over. They're like, you'd be
I
surprised
love
as to
it.
how many messages like that I've gotten, being like, babe, before I followed you, like I couldn't make like anything, but now I've made my mother-in-law dinner a couple of times and she can't say anything now. Like, so I love that. I love that I'm actually making a difference in people's lives. And I love it when people reach out to me and tell me that. So it makes me really happy. So please do that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, what would you say is the most stressful thing about being a content creator?
I think the most stressful thing is the pressure to always perform well. And I think that's, for me, is like, it's very self-inflicted. Like, I am a bit of a perfectionist and I think I can be really, really hard on myself. And I think that is the most difficult part of it for me, where I think being in the public eye, you also get a bit of imposter syndrome, where especially when I'm not like professionally trained, and I feel like at any moment people are going to realize, being like, she doesn't actually know what she's doing and it's just like worked out, which is the case. But I guess you forget that that's the case for so many things.
I think it's the case for everything.
It's the case for everything.
People don't know until they do.
I recently watched the movie Queen, Freddie Mercury's one. I don't know if you've seen it.
Rhapsody, yeah.
Bohemian Rhapsody, yeah, exactly. And like even that, and like how they got like Bohemian Rhapsody on the radio was literally just like everything's like a bit of a fluke that works out. And as you were saying earlier, what is luck, opportunity, and hard work or consistency or whatever. So it's yeah. You really wanted to do that. You tried doing it the first time, didn't work out.
Sorry, you kind of spoke over it. I had to make sure it landed, you know. You've got hundreds of thousands of followers across social media. You've got millions and millions of views across social media as well.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Crazy. What do you think has helped you to be so successful?
I think authenticity and consistency are the two main factors. I think people are a lot more switched on than you think, and I think if you're kind of inauthentic, it comes across, because you can't carry on that way forever. So I think those would be my two biggest factors. And I think I've also got a really, really good support system around me, where I'm always very encouraged by everyone, like my friends, my family, and even my followers. Everyone's always really encouraging, and that really helps me, to be honest, because I need that. I need like kind of positive affirmations to do more.
Sometimes you just need to know what you're doing is like
exactly
being received well.
Yeah,
100%.
and that's why, as I said to you as well, like I don't love cooking for myself, because cooking for me is like other people. And I think maybe because when I started cooking, it was more, I was cooking for my mum. It's never been like, this is what I want to eat, I'm going to recreate it. It's like, what can I make for this person? Because I think my mum used to also say, like, food is like the best thing you can do for someone is make them a hot meal, like as like a standard basic thing you can do. And I think so for me, it is like an act of love and an act of service. So, yeah.
I hear that. Wonderful answer.
Yeah.
You mentioned, consistency throughout this podcast. For the listener, do you have any productivity hacks that you can share?
No, I am genuinely the biggest procrastinator ever. I'm so bad. I need to fix this. I think for me, it's like I work best with a deadline.
Yeah.
I work best with a deadline. And that's always been the case. Like I was always cramming for exams. I was always like leaving things last minute. So my productivity hacks would be, the thing is, it's not like I waste time. I'm always just doing things. I give myself too much to do. So I'm always like rushing around trying to do everything at once.
Maybe that's the hack. Give yourself too much to do.
Yeah,
so you never have enough time to do it.
Yeah, but then also, like, I am also good at taking time for myself. Like I do take time to relax and do that, because if I didn't have that, I'd completely burn out. And I've learned that from experience now, where I'm like, I can't go 100 miles an hour every single day. And
just going into that a bit further, because it is one of my questions, like, how do you actually unwind?
I just love chilling.
Leaving a mess downstairs, going upstairs and chilling.
Yeah, exactly.
Zainab, this has been so good. We're almost at the end.
Okay.
Where does Zainab see Zainab in 5 to 10 years?
I don't know. Do you know, I was thinking about that because you asked me that. You told me you were going to ask me that, and I was like, what? I don't know, man. I
I like to think long term, but I find it always really hard to envision life further than like 2-3 years away. Like, even, do you remember when you were younger and they're like, where do you see your career in 10 years? And I'm like, I have no clue, because I'm not exactly a go with the flow person. I don't want to say that, because people who know me, they'll be like, you are not go with the flow. So what are you talking about? But I think life can be so tumultuous and so much can happen that it's almost like scary to map out how exactly you want it to be. Like, I'm open to opportunities. I'd like to obviously grow my audience. I'd like to kind of establish my brand a bit more, maybe open a restaurant, definitely have like at least 1 to 2 cookbooks out. I would love to like get into television some way, but not like presenting, more like kind of food documentaries a little bit. So I have a lot of things in the back of my mind that I'd like to pursue. It's just about finding enough hours in the day.
Amazing. Zainab, this has been so good. Before we finish, we got a quick fire round.
Oh, I hate quick fire questions.
And so typically I have like a set of questions, but I've actually tailored mine.
Oh God, okay.
You ready?
Yeah. But wait, I'm going to tell you that I'm not good at quick. Okay.
You're not good, but you're on my show. You're in my house.
Okay, exactly. Okay, go.
Sweet or savoury?
Savoury.
Most underrated cooking tool?
Pesto and mortar.
Oh, that's a good one, actually. Favourite meal?
Breakfast.
Signature dish?
Lamb nihari.
Favourite guilty pleasure snack?
I'm not really a massive snacker. Oh, sorry.
What?
Sorry. I don't know. Cheese? I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Okay.
Lamb or chicken?
Lamb.
All right, you said that so emphatically. I'm chicken all the way. Scrambled or fried eggs? 'Cause I know you like your eggs.
That's really hard. I think scrambled. No, fried.
Dream dinner guests. You can have up to 3. So up to
I
cook
cannot answer that question. You should have told me that before. Oh my God. Do you know
I've
what?
sprung
Actually,
this
let
on
me
you.
be cute. Yeah. So as I said to you, I started cooking for my mum. So when I was cooking for her, she was so unwell. She could barely like appreciate anything I was doing. I would love to get, like, now that she's passed away and I didn't actually get to cook to her properly, I would love to get a young, like her my age at my dinner table now would be unreal. Like, that would be amazing. I would love that. So yeah, that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one. That's one. Oh my God. Other two.
Leave it there.
Yeah, let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. I can't think of anything else.
It was a pretty great one. Night out or night in?
Night out.
And then this can be cooking or more generally. Are you listening to any good podcasts at the moment?
You know what, Bio? I used to listen to a lot of podcasts and I used to listen to a lot of... Oh, sorry, this is Quickfire, isn't it? But whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, okay, this is the last one.
Okay.
So it's
So
fine.
I used to listen to a lot of true crime, like a lot.
So many ladies there.
I know we do, don't we? Like, it's so funny. I'm like washing dishes and in my ear it's like, he strangled her to death. And then I read this thing where it was like, true crime is making you depressed. So now I don't listen to any of them because I was like, do you know what? I'm spending 3 to 4 hours a day listening to like horrific crimes and death. So maybe I should stop.
Stop
But
listening to crime.
I don't listen to a lot of there's this one podcast that I've obviously, besides Bios, what my best friend does, which is obviously on top of my list, but besides that, there's this really old podcast, and it's like my security blanket almost, where it's like a comedy one. It's called My Dad Wrote a Porno, and it's very millennial. It's very millennial. But like anytime I'm like sad or like, and I need to do something that I don't want to do, like anything like menial. And I said to you, a lot of my time is spent cleaning up. Like, I'll just put on My Dad Wrote a Porno, and it just cracks me up. And I've listened to it so many times now, and my family hate it. Like, my friends hate it because they're like, please, can you listen to something else? And I'm like, no. You know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Some people rewatch Friends thousands of times. I listen to My Dad Wrote a Porno over and over again.
I hear it. Fair enough. Yeah. You heard it here first. My dad wrote a porno. Okay. We do have a closing tradition on the What My Best Friend Does podcast. Okay. And basically, it's a simple question. So, knowing what you know now and everything you've been through, what advice would you give your 16-year-old self, and would you still be doing the same thing?
It's a difficult question. I feel like the advice I give myself as a 16-year-old is similar to advice I'd give myself now, because I don't think, obviously I've grown up, but I think as a person I've always been the same. Like, I've known who I am from a young age, and I've never had like a doubt of a doubt around who I am and what I believe in. Like I've never felt the need to like go find myself. Like I know who I am. So because of that, I think my flaws and my good attributes have stayed consistent. So my advice to my younger self would be to not be in a rush to grow up. I think I used to really, when I was younger, I used to like I really, really wanted to grow up. I don't know what it was. I just really was like obsessed with the idea of just being older and being able to do more. And maybe that comes from actually having quite strict parents where I was quite, I used to just think about that a lot. So don't be in a rush to grow up. I actually made a note about what else to say, but I can't remember it now.
That's absolutely.
It's fine.
That's pretty profound.
Okay.
Don't be in a rush to grow up.
Don't be in a rush to grow up.
Would you still be doing the same thing? I think you would.
I think I would. As I said to you, like I didn't really have a life plan, but I think you should kind of play the cards you're dealt, and I've played my hand, I think, fairly all right. So
Yeah.
I think like you don't know what skill might be useful one day. So like when I first bought my camera, I wasn't doing a food page. I bought a camera because I actually was doing a podcast with our friend Steven. Yeah, Steve. Not Bruno. Not Bruno. I don't know Bruno like that. Our friend Ravi.
Sorry,
but
Rav.
Steven and
Rav's
Ravi.
gonna kill me,
And then we were doing a podcast on books, and I was like, we really wanted to do some nice book photography, and I was like, do you know what? I'm gonna buy a camera because I want to get good at photography anyway. So I bought that, and then from that I started making food videos. So like you don't know. Always be like open to things.
Yeah.
I'm that person who will order like the thing I don't know on the menu because I'm like I don't know what I like yet. There's so many different things to try. So just be open to opportunities, open to people, open to flavors, you know?
That's great. Zainab, we're almost at the end.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah?
Yeah, please.
Okay. What is your death row meal?
Oh.
I want a starter, main, and dessert.
Is it just one from each?
Up to you. Let's see how greedy you are.
Okay, very greedy.
Okay.
For starter, I have to have some calamari.
No lemon. No lemon.
Yeah, calamari, no lemon.
Yeah.
And I'm also gonna get chicken wings as well.
What kind of chicken wings?
Assortment.
Assortment. Okay.
Yeah, an assortment.
Like Wingstop's whole menu.
Yeah, buffalo, barbecue, honey ginger.
Southern fried, like plain.
Yeah,
okay.
plain. I want that also. That's the starter. My main, where do I start? I think I'm gonna go for like a lamb shank.
Okay.
I really love a lamb shank.
Me too.
With some greens and some sweet potato and a side of mac and cheese.
Okay, nice.
And then for dessert, everybody knows Oreo milkshake, like
that's your thing.
and cheesecake. Because it's death row and I can have Oreo milkshake for drink.
Yeah.
My dessert is going to be sticky toffee pudding.
Sticky toffee pudding, great one.
I
great
forgot
one.
that. Yeah, that's my
great one.
I
I can't believe you said everybody knows Oreo milkshake.
And by everybody, I mean myself, me and my camera, and now you.
Yeah.
And Tatiana. Okay, Zainab, where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram, Cooking with Zainab, and also on TikTok. Come find me.
Oh, a little wink to the camera. Guys, if you've gotten to this point, thank you so much. You know what to do. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment. I'm going to leave a link to all of that good stuff with Zainab. This has been another episode of What My Best Friend Does. If you didn't know, now you know. Over and out.